Being smart is hard. Getting smarter doesn't have to be. Well, I'm no expert at actually being smart. Here are 5 activities that I've found have helped make my personal smartification journey a little easier. Number 1, follow lots of news outlets on social media. Look, the fact is we all spend way too much time on Facebook and Twitter and Tumblr and all the rest of it. That's probably never going to change. It might even be a bad idea to try. We've all had that one friend who ostentatiously quit Facebook only to come crawling back a few weeks later. No, the key isn't to stop using social media, but rather to make the act of using it more productive. These days, practically every newspaper, magazine, and news outlet has multiple social media accounts. Following lots of them will clog your newsfeed with important headlines and other information about the world around you, which will make it impossible for you to not learn something the next time you're spending hours blindly scrolling downward. Number 2, take notes when you read books. Turns out at least one thing you learned in school still stands up today. Studies have repeatedly found that your ability to retain information increases dramatically when you take notes, and one recent study even found that taking notes by hand is more effective than using the computer. Whenever I'm reading something, I take notes in little books like these. When I come across an important fact, I write a brief 1-sentence summary and put the page number in brackets. The good thing about this technique is not only does it make you slow down your reading and improve your comprehension, it also provides you with a nice little condensed summary of the book when you're done. If you keep your notes organized, you can build your own little library of personalized cliff notes to reread again and again. Number 3, get a dictionary app for your phone. I have the premium Merriam-Webster dictionary app, and it's honestly one of the best things I've ever installed in my phone. Anytime I read or hear an unfamiliar word in the course of my day, I can look it up immediately, I can hear it pronounced back to me, I can read the definition, I can even save it in a little favorites folder for future reference. Just like the notes in the notebook, being able to save weird words in a folder provides a nice permanent archive to look back at again and again. Studies have shown that by the time we reach adulthood, we basically stop learning new words, which only makes sense because by the time you reach adulthood, you've basically learned how to communicate well enough to get by. From then on out, we usually just guess what unfamiliar words mean from context or learn a new definition only for those few seconds we need it. Permanently adding a new word to your vocabulary has always been a challenge, but luckily dictionary apps have made it easier than ever. Number 4, get your computer to read to you. Listening to podcasts is a great way to get smarter when you're on the go because it's a sort of passive learning. But did you know that if you have an iPhone, you can make any written article into a podcast? What you have to do is go into settings, and then general, and then accessibility, and then speech, and turn speech selection on. Then, the next time you're out and about and want to read an article without walking into traffic or whatever, just go to the article, drag the highlighter everywhere, or use the select all function, and then click the little speech button that pops up.
You'll hear something like this.
Yes, it's a robot voice, and yes, it does sound kind of monotone and weird, but in time you'll get used to it. I mean, a robot voice isn't really that different than words on a page if you think about it. Words on the page have no emotion, you just give them emotion when you process them in your brain, and that's what you'll eventually learn to do with a robot voice too. Number 5, if you want to learn about a complicated topic easily, consider reading a kid's book. So let's say I want to quickly learn about Mark Twain. I could try reading this 700-page biography, or I could attempt to trudge through his 9,000-word Wikipedia article, which was apparently written by the same people who write VCR manuals. Or I could read this charming 30-page kids book. Now, obviously, kids' books are light and superficial, but that's sometimes what you want when you're attempting to tackle a complicated topic for the very first time. Kids' books are written in very plain English, they get to the point very quickly, and of course they have lots of interesting pictures and charts and diagrams and timetables to help hold your hand along the way. Plus, most nonfiction kids' books are actually written by some pretty knowledgeable people these days, in part because our standards for children's education have gotten so much higher. Kids' books may be no substitute for serious research, but they're a pretty good place to start. So do you have any good tips for increasing your own smartness? Let me know by writing in the box under thing.